Top man. Well, yeah, again, mate, thank you for jumping on the call, Joseph. So what I thought we could do is just, maybe start by you introducing yourself, like your background, where you were before joining us in control system specialist, and then we can kind of take it from there.
Yeah, so I before joining this course, I was on an apprenticeship, a 4-year apprenticeship, for mechatronics maintenance, engineering, manufacturing. So I did 4 years in that. Before that, I was in school, so I just finished sixth form, and I was
Okay.
actually ready to go off to university. But my year ended up being the COVID year, so we didn't do exams. Everything was, shut down. So during that
Yeah.
time, I decided to like just start looking at other options. I had
Hmm.
a cousin in the family who did an apprenticeship, and he did it in engineering, and I was always interested in engineering and like manufacturing and things like that. So I was like, okay, I want to go into that sort of stuff. So I applied for apprenticeships, and yeah, got an apprenticeship in the end of it, and did my 4 years. Finished it, came out with a permanent position, and
Nice.
then I started to have an idea of what I wanted to do in the future, and I knew I wanted to go along the lines of controls and PLC stuff and automation, and so I
Hmm.
do some research on online of like different training programs, and I came across your YouTube channel, and from there I was like, I could see that you had experience, I could see that you knew what you were talking about, so that's why I decided to join in the end.
And what was it you were potentially going to do at university?
I was going to do mechanical engineering.
Right, okay. And
Yeah.
then so because I did like a mechanical electrical apprenticeship. What were you doing? What was like your job? I know it's like, yeah, what were you doing within the apprenticeship?
Well,
Like
my
work
apprenticeship was,
wise?
yeah, work-wise, it was also in a mechanical electrical apprenticeship. So
Mm.
a lot of the stuff was maintaining mechanical equipment, maintaining electrical equipment, um, maintaining control systems,
Okay.
fluid power, like so hydraulics, pneumatics, things like
Okay.
that.
So
So
yeah, so sort of like maintenance service role then
yeah, yeah,
in like did you say manufacturing
yeah,
environment?
automotive manufacturing. Yeah,
Oh yeah, cool, cool. And so you obviously started getting a taste for the control side of things, the automation side.
yeah, and that's where the interests grew because beforehand I would not have really known about that sort of engineering. I you only really hear about mechanical, electrical, maybe like software engineering when you're back in school. So until I was actually within the industry, within the working environment, I would not have really known about control stuff. And obviously, I got my taste for it. I realized that I enjoy the logic side of things. I enjoy like solving those
Yeah.
hard, complex, problems and working with other, engineers to like put in like going from nothing to, fully a system that's ready to implement. I liked having
Yeah.
that sort of experience, and I like doing that sort of work. So that's why I decided to go more into controls and learning more about that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, how old are you, mate? If you don't mind me asking.
23.
Yeah, so you're a young chap just at the start of your career, which is really
Yeah.
exciting, mate. And like this is the thing, like you're a really young guy. You've no, you've invested a substantial amount like of time, but financially as well. Like why is that important for you? Because most people, like of your age, me included, when I was your age, would not have made that investment.
Yeah. I think the reason that I did make the investment in the end was you you're in a position where you've done what I want to do, right? So I could see that through, the videos that you've made that you first of all knew what you were talking about. So I felt confident uh to invest in the program. But from my side, it's a case where I knew that I wanted to start my own business.
Yeah.
I've owned multiple businesses in the past, just like little stuff like reselling or doing tuition and things like that. So I've always known I wanted to do my own thing. Um, and since working in my workplace, I've come to the realization that I like I like working with controls. I like doing that sort of stuff. I do
Hmm.
enjoy my job at the moment as well, and
Yeah.
because it's very controls heavy, my position at the moment, I can, you know, gain a lot of experience from that. So I knew so investing into the program was like it was like a no-brainer for me. I knew it was like if I want to invest into my future, I've got to put, you know, put some time down, and that financial investment as well. Also, like it kind of also like pushed me further to, you know, actually get the course done because I'm not going to put down a certain amount of money and then not, you know, work towards it, not make use of, you know, the guys in the group and things like that. You know.
That's a fantastic point, mate. And it's been the same for me since I've started investing in my education and started going down this route of like personal and professional development. Like when it's when you're investing amount that's like it's a little bit daunting, it's like, that's there's a little bit of fear involved there, a little bit of nerves. I've always, and obviously it's got to be the right investment. You've got to see the value and you've got to obviously trust the people that are providing it. But when
Mm,
I've done that and I've actually made that investment, yeah, it's kind of it's given me a kick up the arse to make sure that I go through the material, I learn the skills. So because I want to get a return on that investment, not just the financial, but the
yeah.
time. So when it's it's a higher amount and you're a little bit uncomfortable with that, it's a driving force that forces you through it. So I've always
Mm,
looked at it as a positive.
yeah.
But yeah, it's really impressive, mate. Someone of your age, willing to do that, and I guess it's easier when you know what the goal is, what the outcome is that you're looking to achieve. I think maybe certainly for my case, talking from my own experience, when I was your age, I perhaps didn't know exactly what direction that I wanted to go in. So
Mm.
you're actually quite lucky, mate, that you kind of know what route you want to go down. Which leads me into like what is it you want to do, man?
Yeah. So long term, like in the future, I'd like to, you know, have my own controls business where I'm doing full installs for businesses, for companies. I'd like to stay within the industrial environment, I think.
Hmm.
Um, so like within like manufacturing or any other industrial environments. But yeah, like doing the full installs, like the the full commissioning of you know machines and lines and things like that. And
Yeah.
I've always had the like the vision of like working really hard for like 6 to 8 months of the year, and then for the rest of the time I could like chill for a little bit, you know, go traveling or
Yeah.
whatnot. And I can see like with controls because it is a very project heavy, like in like work wise, you know, I can see what I want to do aligning with that in a way, you know.
Yeah, mate. Well, that's it. And it's one of those skill sets that, you can the time that you do doing it, like you can get a higher return on that time as opposed to maybe like standard mechanical or being an electrician,
Yeah.
where you can afford to take chunks of time off like that. So
Mm.
it sort of enables you to have that freedom. What just going back a step, mate, what was it that because obviously you're working in the industry, you've done an apprenticeship, you're working full time. What I guess was missing from what you were doing that actually prompted you to start looking at additional training, I guess.
Um, I'd say that the job I'm in now as the maintenance is very broad when it comes to uh like where I am in, you know, there's a lot of mechanical stuff, you know, like one day I could be changing bearings on a motor or changing a shaft. The other day I could be replacing components in a control panel because, you know, like something's blown up or, you know, um,
Right.
on my side, I definitely enjoyed more of the electrical and control side of stuff and less the mechanical. I do enjoy it, but I just enjoyed the electrical and control side more.
Yeah.
Uh, and I just thought, yeah, I don't really want to do maintenance for forever, you know. Like I could stay there, but I also am someone who is ambitious. I like to move up and do my own thing and just work hard and I see that for some of my older colleagues, I can see some of them are very comfortable where they are, Me,
Mm.
I like being in a position where I will always want to learn. I think learning never stops, no matter what age you are. I think especially if you've got like a growth sort of mindset, I think you realize that learning never stops. I've gone through the program, but I realize learning never stops. There's always new things I'm learning on the job. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why I decided to go full on with the program because it was like a direct pathway into what I wanted to do. And it's not like going on YouTube and looking at all these videos which are going to take time and not necessarily going to appeal to what exactly I'm looking for. But the
Mm.
program definitely did have, you know, like you work through it bit by bit, going through the drawings, going through panel build, going through the design and things like that. So I knew exactly, okay, this fits with what I have in my mind of what I want to do. So it just made sense, really.
So you weren't, was there something, but it sounds like then you weren't getting enough or as much exposure as you'd like on the control side specifically to perhaps increase your skill set at the rate that you'd have liked to. Would that
Yeah,
be fair to
yeah,
say?
yeah.
Okay. And like so back then when we first spoke, what was the reason for I know like the bigger goal, the long-term vision is like own business like you just mentioned, but what was like the immediate goal for you then? Was it to advance
To
career-wise?
get better in my like electrical and control skills, to have more of a concrete understanding so that when I'm going on jobs that I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know exactly what to diagnose and how to make modifications and things like that. Because obviously I'm still very new in my career, so coming out of my time on the apprenticeship, it's like I still feel like I'm still the baby of the crib. Everyone has years of experience on me, and
Yeah.
sometimes I still go on jobs. I just don't like feeling like I can't do something.
Mm.
So especially with like within the electrical and control side, because mechanical is kind of what you see is what you get, right? So you
Yeah.
can it's a bit easier to diagnose faults, whereas when it comes to electrical and controls, it can take time. Not it's not everything isn't as concrete as as just looking at it on the page, so or on the screen. So that's part of it. I just wanted to get better with at work really, and like I said, I have ambitions to keep driving and keep pushing myself. So that's part of it as well.
So, and you mentioned in this message to me that I was just pulling up, but like what are you doing now, man? Because it sounds like yeah, it has helped you in the short term, like progress at where you're at. So talk to me a little bit about that, mate.
Yeah, so initially I was on a machining line. So I was in a place where it was more mechanical, I'd say. The jobs that would come through were more mechanical because machines would go wrong and we'd have to, I don't know, change a ball screw or change a motor or things
Yeah.
like. But once I started showing an interest in controls, I talked to my supervisor, and he was really helpful, and he let me shadow my senior controls engineer at work. Um, so I do that once a week on top of, so I get time out of work to just shadow him and see what he does and understand that side of the role more and then I applied for another job within my company,
Okay.
which
Cool.
is more on the assembly side, and now and that job is like more 70% controls work and it's less the
Okay.
mechanical stuff. So I'm actually able to be on the job and then plus shadowing my senior controls engineer as well, and it was good because that was a bit more pay as well. So that's helped in that regard too, and plus it's kind of helped within like the working uh what's the word, like the working diaspora, and there's in a way like all the managers and engineers like know who I am now in the sense that
Mm.
oh
Yes.
when jobs come up and they're looking for someone, or if the controls engineer is busy, they come to me and ask me if I can work on it because they know I've got an ability now when it comes to controls.
Yeah, mate. That and this is it. It's like like the people that I have these conversations with, like on similar calls that we first had, like
Hmm.
guys that should know better, guys that are in there. 30s, 40s, like the opportunities don't come until you have the skills, until you can show that you know what you're talking about, you're competent, you're confident. Then the opportunities start to rise. But
Mm.
some people are like, oh no, 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 I'll wait till the opportunities come, then I'll start thinking about the skills. It's like it doesn't work that
Yeah,
way.
it doesn't work. Yeah.
So, mate, you're a testament to that. So you applied for a new role and you got it, did you?
Yeah.
When did you, how long have you been in this? Because you've been in the program just under a year now. How long have you been in this new role where you're doing
New
more
role,
controls?
I got the new role probably it was like end of June or end of July last year, and I just
Oh,
completely forgot
wow.
to post about it. But I've been shadowing the controls engineer for like nearly a year now as well. Well,
Okay.
I'd say I think around the time I joined the program is when I started asking my supervisor if I could like shadow the controls engineer. So it'll be around that time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's when I got that role. Yeah, and I've been there.
How does it feel to be like one of the guys that they actually look to when control issues or control projects come up?
It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet to be honest, but well, it showed me a lot. Because I'm learning more just looking at programs and diagnosing faults and making modifications. So I just learn more just naturally just of doing the work.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, you realize that there's a lot of responsibility that comes with doing things. Controls isn't something that you can just half-ass your way. Like it's either you have the knowledge and you have the ability, or you don't. Because if you don't,
Mm.
uh, lines fail. Systems fail, and you can't have that. That's money lost. So. I've made my mistakes. I'm sure there's many more mistakes to come as well. But I realize that just actually doing it is helps me as well learning.
Well, this is where the value's at, mate, because most people, they're not willing to take on that level of responsibility because you're exactly right. Like you've got to know what you're talking about because if you do something wrong, as you just highlighted, it fucks a lot of stuff up and you can make things worse and it can, prevent things from working and in
Mm.
industrial businesses like the one you're working in, that's money when machines aren't working. So it can be very stressful, but that's again where this is such an amazing, and I get really passionate about it because it's such a fantastic skill set to have if you are willing to take on that responsibility because most people aren't,
Yeah,
which then it's like the economics 101. There's growing demand, but there's, little supply, so the few people that do have the skill set, like they are in demand.
yeah,
And when you're in demand, like you can demand more, whether that's opportunities, you know, um, career development, more money, or where you're a business, you can charge a lot more.
yeah. It helps as well because I'd say I'm pretty lucky that my the colleagues that I work with, they're pretty they know what they're doing as well, and but I see that they're getting older. They want to retire soon, and
Hmm.
so I was like, who else? Like, who's going to take up the slack in a sense? And I can just already see like the opportunities coming in the next 5, 10 years, just because the majority of the workforce is going to retire. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's it, man. What just going back to like the program, like what areas of it do you think have helped you the most, in terms of where you are at the moment and taking on more of this controls responsibility?
I'd say the system specialist, the control system specialist part of the course, that helped because obviously it just kind of goes through the system as a whole. And you're and reading the schematics as well. I do that quite a bit
Hmm.
in my job,
Hmm.
so that helps in just understanding and not being as slow to understand and see things. I'd say the panel build section really helps as well because that isn't something I do really because most of the panels that I work with have already been built. So
Yeah.
unless if there's like a new install, they'd I think my work usually subcontracts that out anyways. But
Hmm.
it was just good to see how the panels can actually be built and like understanding what you'd use, the equipment that you'd use, and like how you'd lay it all out and make sure that it doesn't, it's all ergonomically correct for like maintenance in the future and things like that.
Gotcha. So, and I was just thinking when it's coming up to a year, isn't it? Like from when you joined. And you got this promotion in June, so it's January now, 2026. You got that new job in June 2025.
Yeah, I've been there like 6 months now. Yeah,
Yeah, and so I think you joined us, what was it? Like, was it
it was
January,
March.
February? Oh, was it March? Okay. So
Yeah.
March, June, March, April, May, June. So like, yeah, so within 3 months or so, you'd advanced your career, which is fantastic. You don't have to share it, mate, but like how much did it increase your pay, or was it not that substantial?
It increased my pay by around like 27.5%.
Oh wow, okay. That's pretty
Plus,
decent.
plus like overtime as well. I get much more overtime on where I am now, so that also helps. Trying to save for a house and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. What I love asking this question, especially for someone like yourself, but like to anyone that might be watching our conversation in the future, that's a similar background to you, similar age to you, like what advice would you give them, if they were wanting to achieve what you've achieved?
Um, well, it's funny you say that because I feel like I haven't achieved a lot, but yeah, I feel like I've still got a lot of stuff to go through. But I think being proactive is definitely important. Um, it's very easy to be in a position or in a job role where you're getting paid, you do the work, you go home. But if you are serious about furthering yourself, furthering your career, having bit more freedom by starting a business, being proactive is really important because if you're not, going out and actually asking for jobs, further my learning has been important, or else I wouldn't have got them. I wouldn't have if I didn't ask to shadow the controls engineer, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have got that opportunity. And through him, I'm meeting more management, I'm meeting more of his
Mm.
colleagues and things like that. So, through that, I get like I wouldn't have been able to get the opportunities that I think I would have got even in the job that I applied for. I mentioned that I was obviously shadowing, and I think that helps as well because they could see, oh, okay, he knows control stuff.
Mhm.
We do a lot of that sort of stuff here, so it would have helped. I'd say it's important that like you know what you want to do as well. Um, for people my age, like, it's a bit harder because like there's so much stuff around. Like we don't really know too much about what we want to do. Like, oh, one week we might want to try out drop shipping. Next week we might want to try out selling stuff on Amazon, or
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff in the like social media and things like that. But I knew I always wanted to do engineering. I knew I always wanted to stay in engineering, and I think just being exposed to the industrial environment through my apprenticeship helps like
Mm.
solidify exactly, okay, now this is what I want to do. So getting experience for younger guys, I'd say try and get as much experience as you can, expose yourself to these real world environments so you have an idea, um,
Yeah.
whether it's through work experience or family members or whatever it is. And I'd say for those who have an idea of what they want to do, being proactive is, I'd say, the next thing.
And to be, because you mentioned proactive a few times and like some examples of that, but like just to be a bit more specific with being what you mean by being proactive. Like, yeah, like can you expand a little bit, like specifics in terms of
Yeah, when I say
being,
like be proactive, like being proactive with your learning and your development in the sense that say I might have completed a job like I might have just completed the job. What I would then do is then I would then go back, look at the schematics and really diagnose what went wrong, really look at those schematics and see what how did this go wrong, and or looking at the PLC program and just going through those blocks and seeing how, like, just seeing how the logic works, because to further my understanding, you know,
yeah,
um, another example I'd say, like asking for jobs. It's very easy is when you're, because I get a lot of downtime on my shifts, especially when the line's running. So
yeah,
it's very easy to just sit around and just wait until you get the next call or something's gone down or so it was important for me that I kept myself busy during those times and going out and asking for jobs. Oh, you realize that um maybe the supervisory team have like a list of the top 10 faults for the week or for the month. Okay, cool. Now I'll go and now
Okay.
look at the number one on the list and see what I can
Yeah.
do to try and figure it out. And that also helps with my learning as well because I'm just looking at the program, trying to figure out the faults, and then relaying that back. That's how I'd
Amazing,
say
mate.
like being proactive. That's how I define it.
And that first point that you mentioned, like when you have got a bit of downtime, actually just going back through and looking at schematics, looking at maybe some images or the machine, like, and that's that. And this is exactly what I did because I genuinely wanted to understand things, And when you genuinely want to understand things, like it's too hectic, there's too much shit going on when you're like in the thick of it, you're trying, there's pressure, you
Mm.
can't really take your time to do things in the time that you need as an individual. So that's where, like, when you've got some downtime or when you're off site, you're at home, to go have some time to go through these things, this is where I feel like connections up here really start to be made, because you've been through it on site, and then you're like, let me look at the drawings from a bird's eye perspective without the pressure. And this is where you start really piecing things together.
Yeah,
And then that's where the knowledge, the understanding is developed, which it translates then into the skill, and then that translates into the confidence. And then this is the thing that's kind of enabled you partly to start, advancing your career and doing what you're doing now. And I'm sure will continue as you start developing your own business.
yeah, definitely.
And I think a lot of people, well, I think a lot of people actually don't really care. They don't really want to understand things. They might say they want to understand things, but they don't actually do the actions that show that. But I think when you do genuinely want to understand something, that's the sort of things that people do, because
Mm.
that's exactly what I did, mate. And that's what you've just, discussed and mentioned. So this is what I mean, mate. Like, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because like you recognize that, when you or someone that really wants to understand things get to the bottom of something, and then you recognize someone else that's got that same desire, because it's similar sort of actions
Yeah,
that
yeah,
get to the action. You take actions, and that's what sort of moves you forward to getting to where you want to get to. So it's
that's it.
really,
Yeah.
really inspiring, mate. Um, what's the next thing, mate? Like, what is the next short-term goal for you?
Um, the next short-term goal for me is like to become the number one guy that people call for when it comes to like controls jobs. Um, and just being able to solve issues quicker and more effectively. Um, my work is I have a lot of like there's a lot of work at my work. There's a lot of employees. It's a large company, so they always get they always get contractors in as well. And I can
All
see these
right.
contractors, and I talk to these guys, and ask them, "Oh, how have you done this? How are you here?" And they tell me. And so at this point, I'm just trying to get to a point where like my work can just say, "Oh, we need this done. Oh, we don't need to get a contractor today. Joseph's here." At that point, I understand that I'm in the position where, all right, cool. Like I've got good enough references, I've got good enough experience to then hopefully, start my own thing and build from there.
Yeah,
So I'd say that's my number
mate.
one priority at this stage.
It's amazing, mate. Like, yeah, like you've got you've got a really good plan mapped out. Like, I think if I was doing this all again, this would be the route that I would take. Like, with the knowledge and experience that I have now, what you're doing is what I'd definitely recommend for people that want to, get to where you want to get to, or in the positions that you've been in. Like, you're treading the right path, mate, in my opinion.
Thank you. I hope so. Anyway.
No, mate,
Yeah,
I wouldn't have any doubt if I was you, mate. You're clearly going to get to where you want to get to. So yeah, mate. Well, hang on the line, Joseph. Mate, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. So yeah, thank you, buddy.
yeah.